Hi, I'm Jeremy Robinson, and this is the 19th hole. Hi, welcome to the 19th hole, brought to you by Glal.uk. Delighted today, we've got another legend of the game, former European Tour player, now a member of the Legends Tour, Gary Evans. So, Gaz, thanks very much for coming on. It's a pleasure to see you. You're looking very smart with your glasses on, and you're kind of eco
I'm
stuck behind
half
you.
blind.
Yeah, well, I know the feeling. That's what happens when we all get to this stage. But thanks a lot for coming on anyway.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure.
So really, what I wanted to talk about today, obviously, you've had some great success in the Open Championship. The Open Championship's coming up next week, 151st version at Royal Liverpool, or High Lake, as some people know it. But before we get on to the Open, just want to go back a bit on your career. You played kind of nearly 400 European Tour events, played in the Walker Cup, you won the Brabazon Trophy, the Lytham Trophy, great amateur career, great professional career. So kind of just give us a feel on how did you get into the game to start with?
Oh God. Well, I played a lot of sport when I was a kid. Anything with a ball. I didn't have any brothers or sisters, and we lived in town. I lived above a pub. My mum and dad were publicans, and there was an alleyway out the back and some big walls. And I used to kick a ball against the wall or a tennis ball against the wall, anything with a ball. And then I got to about 13, 14, and my father sort of said to me, look, you just need to focus on one of these games, not, you're playing like 10 different sports. And I chose golf because most of the other sports I needed somebody to play with, whereas golf, I could do it on my own. And because I lived in town, all my mates lived out of town. So I joined the local golf club and realized, yeah, I could, it was a great environment to grow up in. It was very safe and secure, but I could spend hours and hours and hours on end around a putting green or a chipping green or on the golf course. Literally, I'd be up there all weekend. So, yeah, it was just really fortunate. It was good luck. I mean, my mum and dad didn't play golf. They didn't play any sport. So it was pure luck, really.
And a lot of people kind of, when they were young like that, if they did like sport and ball games, played a lot of sports, cricket and golf and, all these tennis. So, and in the end of the day, people choose, don't they? The one that they
Sure.
kind of want to go and do. But, so moving on to the amateur career, won the Brabazon Trophy, won the Lytham Trophy. You were saying before, you did that 2 years in a row, did you? You won the Brabazon twice and the Lytham twice.
Yeah, I did that well, I mean, just to track back a second. So, and strangely enough, connects really with Hoylake. In 1989, I played the Brabazon at Hoylake at Royal Liverpool, and I played with Ernie Els in the final round.
Right.
And I needed two birdies in the last four holes to win in '89, and I finished par, 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 and then on the last hole, which they play as the second hole in the tournament,
Correct.
I hit the flagstick with a 4-iron. Missed the putt, and so I actually finished fourth that year. But yeah, I went on to win in 1990, 91, both Brabazon and Lytham, and I believe I'm still the only person to have done that.
Fair effort. So Ernie Els won it that year in '89, did he?
No, he didn't. I beat him in '89.
Oh, right. Okay.
Bobby Ego. I think Bobby Ego won in '89. But one of the things that I'll always remember about '89 playing with Ernie Els, we were kids. I mean, we were 18, 19 years of age or whatever it was. And, coming down the stretch there, I had a chance to win. And I had him by 4 shots at that point in time. And he was so supportive of me coming down the last, you can do this, Gaz, and that always stuck with me. And Ernie Els for me is one of the legends of this game. He's always been Ernie. He's never become,
Yeah.
or anything. So it's a nice sort of time between the Brabazon and Royal Liverpool. I was thinking about that last night, before coming on here. So yeah.
So playing the Walker Cup, I was fortunate enough to play in the Walker Cup as well in '87, and you played in 1991. I think
Yep.
when you're playing it at the time, you think, yeah, that's great. You've got chosen. It's the pinnacle of the amateur game. You want to do it, but you don't really think it's a great thing. But when you get to our age, it's kind of nice looking back at it. And I played at Sunningdale, funny enough, a couple of days ago with some friends of mine, and that's where I played my Walker Cup. And it's
I
great.
remember. I remember watching you there.
Well, Bobby Ego played in that one, actually, funny enough,
Yeah.
talking about Bobby. But, from your point of view, and certainly for me, I feel kind of proud that I played in the Walker Cup. And I look back at it now, and it was a great achievement for me.
Hugely proud. I mean, I remember when they were pulling the flags up and everything else, the opening ceremony. I mean, I was bubbling up. I mean, to represent your country in such a historic match, I think it's a huge thing. So yeah, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. I didn't enjoy the result, but I mean,
yeah, I know what you mean.
we were at Royal Portmarnock there, and I think with 4 matches left on the course, we had the tournament won. But unfortunately, our last 4 players, their matches all of them got turned over, and we ended up losing, which was a real tragedy. It was a real shame because I mean the Irish public were amazing. Probably 20,000 people came out to watch us. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was certainly one of the pinnacles of my career.
So generally on the show, as I said to the other guys, we like a bit of name dropping on the show. So you've done all right so far with Ernie Els. That American team, if I remember rightly, Phil Mickelson playing.
He was, yeah. Yeah, I would. I mean, I was really annoyed because I was number 1 in the amateur rankings at the time, and the Scottish captain put me out 3rd. I think he put Coulthard out first, or I can't remember, whatever. So I didn't get to play Mickelson. I ended up playing David Duval on the first day, and got the right result. I took his trousers down, which was nice. But yeah, it was a fabulous 2 days. There was Mickelson, Duval, Bobby May. Bobby May nearly won the PGA Championship when he nearly took Tiger Woods down the stretch at Valhalla, I think. So yeah, they had some great names on their team.
Duval was number 1 player in the world, or got to number 1 player in the world.
Mm.
So there's another name. So that was a kind of amateur game. European Tour, say, played nearly 400 events. Any regrets on the European Tour, the way things went, or not?
Listen, I think, I was pretty unlucky. I mean, look, I feel very blessed that I got to play with my heroes, Sebi, Ollie, Banger, all those guys and what have you. It was, I feel hugely blessed. Yeah, my career wasn't what it was supposed to be. After 6 months on tour, I was lying 6th in the order of merit without a win, and I was flying. And then I broke my wrist at the 7th hole at the Belfry, plugged ball in a bunker, and my left wrist went down pretty badly. I was in a lot of pain. I don't know if you can see this, but it jumps. Anyway,
we'll see it on YouTube, Gaz, but they won't see it on the podcast.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. No, so I mean, basically, what happened? I broke my wrist. Didn't know that I'd broken it. I ended up playing golf for 2 years with a broken wrist, and until one day I literally couldn't lift my golf club with my left hand. So I had it operated. I was very, very lucky. I got a brilliant surgeon called Professor John Stanley up at Wrightington Hospital in Wigan to sort it out. But as a consequence of that, I had to change my grip. So I went from a very standard sort of 2.5 knuckle grip to a 4 knuckle grip, because literally my wrist couldn't take the 2 knuckle grip anymore. And as a consequence of the grip change, that completely changed the shape of my swing and ball flight and everything else. And it took me 3 years to find a way to make a golf swing that I could repeat and know where the golf ball was going to go. So that whole process through the late 90s was really uncomfortable. And so I never really, really after the first 6 months of my tour journey, I was always fighting. You lose confidence, you lose faith in your swing and what you're doing. And I found, in the early 2000s, I found a way to play and 2002, 2003, 2004, I played pretty solidly, and then I got a shoulder injury, and it was just like one thing after another. And eventually, by 2006, I'd just had enough of fighting and not feeling I was competing where I should be competing, and that was it for me. I'd had enough.
I think if you feel, if injuries get to you and you can't feel as though you can practice to the, that you might want to practice, and injuries holding you back, it's a very, I would imagine for all sportsmen, it's a very difficult thing to try and play at a top level if you don't feel as though you're 100% fit. That affects you, your thinking and everything, doesn't it?
Well, this is the thing. I think to get to the top of any sport, doesn't matter what sport you play, your mindset, your dedication, your faith in yourself is built over a period of time. It takes time to know how to handle different situations, to overcome these situations and get confidence in what you do, so that you can stand face to face, head to head with the best in the world and feel like you can take them down. So when injuries kick in and stop you from participating at a high level, naturally it's going to have a knock-on effect to your confidence and faith and belief in your abilities. But the annoying thing is, in the back of your head, you're capable. But if you're being handicapped in some way and you can't achieve what you're capable of achieving, that's incredibly frustrating. And eventually, it won its war in my head. At that point in 2006, I just was like, do you know what? I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
I'm going to say it happens to a lot of people, not just golfers, a lot of sportsmen. In the end of the day, that's just the way it goes, isn't it? And it's a shame to end like that, but
it is. And I regret, you asked me, did I have any regrets? Yeah, I do regret. I do regret looking back. It's a shame that I didn't have one or two people around me that, I'd lost my father a long time ago. But if I'd have had one or two very close colleagues that had sat me down and actually said, "No, listen, we're a bit older than you, we're a bit wiser than you. Take 6 months off. Take 3 months off. Go do something else, and I guarantee you'll want to continue. You'll find a way." And I regret that I wasn't smart enough or wise enough, or whatever you want to call it, to have made that decision. Because to quit at 37 years of age is ridiculous.
Well, I think people play a lot longer these days. I mean, I stopped playing when I was 36 because my back was so poor. I couldn't practice enough, and I didn't feel as though I could carry on competing at any kind of level if you can't practice. Ironically, for me, the hardest thing to practice with my back was my putting, because it's such an unnatural position. So there you go.
Yeah.
Moving on to brighter things. The Open Championship, as I say, next week, the 151st Open Championship at Hoylake, or Royal Liverpool as it's known. So your record, you had a great record in the Open. 2002, well, 2003 you finished in the top 10, but 2002 you finished fifth. And we spoke about this when you played in one of our pro-ams, and I know you like to speak about how you lost your ball. So talk us through it. On that deck, was it on the 17th hole you lost the ball there?
Yeah, I mean, yes, it was the 17th.
What position were you lying in? What, as in strokes back? How far back were you, or whatever?
No, I was leading by 2.
Right. Okay. Even better, or even more frustrating one way or another.
I was leading by 2, and for me, the hardest shot on 17 was the tee shot, because I was a fader of the golf ball.
Yeah.
And you've got it's a slight dogleg right, so you've got a pinch point at sort of 270 yards, 280 yards, where these bunkers edge into the fairway from the left-hand side. So for me, it was all about, could I hit the fairway? If I got the fairway, then I was halfway home. And I hit the tee shot, flushed it, and it missed the bunkers by about 2-3 yards, middle of the fairway. And I had 254, I think, to the flag, pin sort of back middle right, if you like. Perfect for me. So, I've got forward in my hands and I'm aiming at the left edge of the green. And, I'd been nervous for the previous, hour and a half. there was definitely electricity going through me. I knew where I was at, and my caddy did a brilliant job of keeping me sort of focused. And I just got a bit short with my backswing, just a bit anxious, and I pulled it. It was just a straight pull. And I thought, oh, well, that won't be too bad. I mean, I'll be chipping up the green from over there. It'll be all right. And so Dominic and I were striding up there, and we see all these people, looking around and no sign of the ball. Anyway, we get there. We find 5 golf balls in the 5 minutes. And the last ball that was found was a Titleist 2 Pro V1. And so I've marked it, and I've lifted it to see if it's got my markings on. It's not got my marking on. And there were hundreds of people there, and no one could find the ball. And then the ref says, time up. So I said to Dominic, give me the forward and the ball. And he said, no. I said, give me the ball and the forward now. And he went, no. And he walked with me the whole way back down the fairway, and it was brilliant. He did absolutely the right thing, because if you can imagine, you're leading the Open by 2. You're so close. You've done 70 holes of a 72-hole contest, and your world is like, exploding. And this situation happens, and he walked the whole way back down the fairway with me in my ear, saying, listen, we're good. Don't worry about this. Let's just hit the green here. 2-putt, make bogey. We've still got the lead. We're good. We got back down, I dropped the ball, hit the green, the left side of the green this time, about 60 foot from the hole. And as we're walking up to the green, I looked at the ball and I said to Dominic, I said, I'm going to hold this. I am absolutely going to hold this, I promise you. And you can ask him that, and it's absolutely the truth. And I walked round to the other side of the hole as I'm lining up the putt. So I'm the whole side of the putt. And as I'm down on my haunches, I can hear my heartbeat going. It's like, it was ridiculous how loud my heartbeat was. And I walked round to the putt, and it was a double breaker. And I got over the putt, and the putter head was shaking a little bit. And I sort of tried to ignore it, and two wafts with the putter, and then I let it go. And it went straight in the middle. And of course, the crowd went absolutely berserk, as did I. Suddenly, I've still got my 2-shot lead, and it was just mental. It was just a mental 30 seconds. But then you've still got 1 hole to play, and I'm trying like mad to get back into a level of quiet focus in my head, and it was nearly impossible, because the emotion that I'd suffered over the past 20 minutes was, you've got a 2-shot lead. Oh shit, I've now just lost the golf tournament because I've lost the golf ball. And you hit the green and you hold the putt, and then, emotionally walking back to the 18th tee, I was in bits, and it was just extremely difficult to get back into a focused mindset. And then I got on the 18th tee, and I overthought the tee shot. There's a great big bunker on the 18th on the left-hand side, which if you go, guaranteed a bogey. And I thought, well, I'll take that out of play, and I'll just hit 2-iron, hit it up the right. I made exactly the same swing as I made with the second swing at 17. It was a short swing, but this time, rather than release the hands, I held it off. So I blocked the tee shot into the right rough. Had a shocking lie, got a jumper hook with a 9-iron. I knew I couldn't get to the green. I was just trying to play up 60, 70 yards short of the green. I got a flying hook, went into the stands on the left, got the drop, hit a fairly good, sand wedge just off the right edge of the green, about 15 feet, 16 feet, something like this. And I chose to just play a little chip and run, and it just missed the edge of the hole, and I had 6 foot back. So you're looking, you're on the 18th green. You can picture the scenes. You've got the 15,000 people around you, the 2 great big yellow scoreboards, and your name's at the top at minus. I think I was -7, and Peter O'Malley was in the clubhouse at -5. and I've got the 6-foot putt potentially to win the Open. You know, it's what every kid dreams about when they're on the putting green. And it was a 2-inch swing from left to right, and I was shaking like a leaf. And as I put the ball back down, you know, Dominic just tapped me on the shoulder, says, "Come on, son, knock it in." And my only thought was, just don't leave it short.
Mm.
And I holed it, and it went straight in the middle. So that was the bogey.
Mm.
So technically, at the time, you know, I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, I've just won the Open. And then, you know, about an hour later, I think it was Stuart Appleby holed a 20 on the last green to do me by a shot, and Ernie Els, Thomas LeVay, Elkington, and Appleby all beat me by a shot and went and played off. So Ernie won, and I finished technically fifth. And the gutting thing about this was, if I'd have been fourth, I'd have got into the Masters.
Yeah. Well, it was a fair effort. And then the following year in 2003, another top 10 finish. So you had 2 great years in the Open.
Yeah, St George's played. I played better at St George's than I did at Muirfield. Tee to green was off the charts. Again, I said to Dominic going out the last round, if we're 3 under through 7, we're going to win this. And I was 2 under through 6. Missed a 4-footer at 7 for birdie, an 8-footer at 8 for birdie, a 10-footer at 9 for birdie, an 8-footer at 10 for birdie, and ended up finishing 10th. Yeah, I played really, really well that week. I couldn't buy a putt. But yeah, I mean, the Open Championship was always, you know, an absolute joy to go and play in. It took me a while to figure out how to learn to play an Open Championship, though.
Well, you were saying before about that. Just moving on to this year's Open Championship, Royal Liverpool. Yeah. You're saying about playing there. Have you played the course much?
Last time I was there was 89 with Ernie Els.
But obviously they switch it round for the Open, as you rightly say. Yeah. The first hole is the third hole, 17 becomes the first, and the par 3 on the back 9, they've actually switched the whole thing round. So now the tee is the green and the green is the tee. So
right,
and the R&A do a fantastic job with setting the courses up these days, and they're putting the tournaments on. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm actually going. One of the guys that we help out, he's qualified Martin Rowe from South Africa. So I enjoy going to the Open. I went last year to the one at St Andrews, which was amazing. But so as a spectator now of the Open Championship, we're previewing the Open. You know, Rory McIlroy's heading the field at about 8-1 generally across the board. Can Rory win another major, do you feel, or has there too much gone on previously?
I think certainly from what we saw at LA Country Club at the US Open, you know, he certainly looked more like the Rory that we know. You know, he looked freer.
Yeah.
And, you know, without question, all the live stuff that's gone on over the last couple of years, you know, hasn't, you know, the PGA have wrongly used Rory to, you know, as a sort of stool pigeon, really, which is unfortunate. But I think Rory is definitely thinking more about Rory. Which is a really good thing. Absolutely, he'll have good memories there because obviously he won there in, when was it, 14 or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the other guy, you know, Ricky Fowler, you know, he finished second to Rory in 14, and he's on form at the moment. So both of them it'll be interesting to watch. You know, those 2 guys specifically. I mean, obviously there's a lot of very good players playing.
I mean, I'm a big fan of watching Rory McIlroy play. I mean, I watched him a bit yesterday at the Scottish Open on TV, and he looks to be playing great. But I just feel, I hope he does win another major. But I felt he should have won the Open Championship last year at St Andrews. It was in his own hands, and he just didn't putt well enough. He just didn't hold the putts, and we all know what happened. Cam Smith, I mean, he's got to be the best putter in the world when he gets that blade going. He's unbelievable. Talking about holding putts. But I mean, Rory just faltered a little bit on the last day on the greens.
As you well know, sometimes it doesn't matter how good you play, somebody else just does something a little bit better. Other times, you might not play so well, but the person you're playing with falters and you hang in. You know, last year it was one of those days. You know, Cam Smith binned everything all week.
Yeah.
Rory played spectacular golf, and as you say, you know, stumbled towards the end. You know, and I'd say that probably really hurt him last year. I really think he thought he had it in the bag, which might be, you know, a big incentive from this year. You know, he might be coming here, places won previously, and he might think, well, you know, the tournament owes me one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure his mindset's pretty, you know, good.
Yeah. But as you've just rightly said, you know, Ricky Fowler's playing great again, which is great to see. And there isn't a player at the, I mean, Scotty Scheffler's so consistent at the moment. Last 18 months, it's been unbelievable. But there isn't a player who is, you know, there's not Tiger Woods about at the moment, which I think makes the major so great, because there's a bunch of players who can win this thing this week, next week, sorry. I mean, I think Cam Smith will go close again. Brooks Koepka, the weather forecast doesn't look very good, and the tougher the conditions, seems to come into his own, you know, and obviously Scheffler, John Rahm's another one, and Victor Hovland. The list goes on. I think it'll be a great Open again.
I agree. I mean, I think John Rahm's gone a little bit off the boil. Scheffler's ball striking, without question, has become legendary. I mean, I don't like what I see when I watch him swing, but it's the result is phenomenal.
Well, we were saying, Gaz, the other day, I was talking to some guy, you know, the amount, he's so consistent from tee to green. And it's unbelievable how he is that consistent when his feet are all over the place.
Oh, my God.
I mean, you wouldn't think that would breed consistency, would you?
No. But, you know, it's the same old thing, you know, that we've always known. There's no one way to play this game. All you've got to do is whatever you've got, however you swing it, as long as it's consistent and you know where it's going, it doesn't have to look pretty. It doesn't have to look conventional. Look at Victor Hovland. Look at Koepka. Look at John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Ricky Fowler, how he was. You know, all of them are very, very different golf swings. You know, so that's why this game's so great. You know, I just love this game. But yeah, I mean, looking at the field, I mean, you know, Jordan Spieth, you kind of, you know, he's a gritty player. You know, Tommy Fleetwood coming back to, you know, an area that he knows. You know, I quite like, you know, Max Homer's a bit of a plodder, but I don't can handle, you know, the British weather. Don't know. Tyrrell Hatton, the close, you know, what year he's had. You know, this Sepp Straka, I don't know anything about him, but you know, again, he's won in the States, and what I'll tell you what will be interesting, Padraig Harrington.
Well, yeah, you never know. Safe, especially if the weather gets bad.
I mean, talk about an outside bet. I mean, he's got to be over 100 to 1. But as an each way punt, I've got to say, you know, Harrington, he's a grinder. He knows links golf better than pretty much anybody. And if he gets his eye in on the greens, I tell you what, he could have a bit of a sniff at this. I know I might sound.
No, I agree. I mean, I spoke about him on the show before the US Open. He was 300 to 1 each way for a top 12 spot, and he finished like 25th in the end. Going into the fourth round at Los Angeles Country Club, he had a chance of not to win, but certainly a chance of finishing top 12. And I totally agree with him. And he hits the ball as far as most of these guys still, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's so competitive. I mean, there's nobody more competitive than Harrington. So I think it's a shout. But to put you on the spot then, who do you think's going to win? I know it's well, just as we were saying though, this is why I think it's going to be a great Open, because there are so many people who can win.
I think, I mean, it's very hard to look away from the top guys, but I always think, you know, I always like to look at a bit of an outsider. So, you know, I think Fleetwood would be a hugely popular win.
Definitely.
Particularly in the area.
Yeah.
If he brings his putting game, I'd say he could go close.
Yeah. Well, he went close before when Larry won at in Northern Ireland, didn't he? Portrush, yeah. So and that was bad weather. So, but come on then. So you're going for Fleetwood, are you?
Yeah, I'll go for Tommy Fleetwood. Yeah, why not? Let's
Okay.
go. I like to be a little bit outside. I mean, everyone goes for all the favourites, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'll go Fleetwood.
Yeah. Well, it's a good shout. I say you can't argue with it. I'm going for Cam Smith. I think he'll defend it. I do
Yeah,
think he'll defend it. And again, you can't argue against it. But as I say, I'm looking forward to going out and watching. It's going to be a great open. I'm sure the course will be brilliant.
oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
it's going to be great, and the weather could, the tee times could have a bearing with the wind and everything. So, which is all part of the Open, isn't it? You can get lucky with
Always,
the tee times, and you can get very unlucky, and you need to be on the right side of the draw if the weather's bad. So,
100%.
moving on before we finish, I know you have views on live, so we're not going to go down that route. We're not even going to start talking about that. But what I'd like to ask you is, how
Yeah.
would you like to see golf in a year's time? Don't start talking about what has gone on. What would you like to see briefly now? Because I know you've got can go on about this. So I want you to be brief. If we were sitting here this time next year, would you like to see a merger between PGA Tour, DP World Tour, and Live, or would you like to see them going their separate ways and kind of is there room for everything?
I would like to see a new product. I would like to see more of a world tour. I would like to see the 100 best players from whichever tour they're currently playing on, playing together, say 15 events a year
Yeah.
as your premium golf product. And then you could retain your other tours around the world, Asian, European, PGA. You can keep all of those in place, but if you had a premium product, which was the world's top 100, I think that with a way that, let's say, 50 guys lose their card and 50 guys, literally, you want it to be a very competitive space where people have got to earn their right to stay in that special space, so it doesn't become an exhibition match.
Yeah.
And that way you give each tour an opportunity to get their players onto that premium stage. I think whilst I have very little thoughts and feelings for
we're not going down that route.
certain couple of players, believe it, that historically have been a bit of a voice box for certain things. But if it were me, that would be for me, because I love this game, and I think we should be watching the world's best playing against each other on a regular basis. But I don't want 40 weeks of that. I want a premium package of, say, 12 to 14, 15 events a year where they come together, so the majors retain their respect within the world of golf, and you have these other 14 events. Something like that would tick my box.
With a cut though on those 100-player fields, I presume you.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. I agree with that. But I think the first thing they've got to do, I think that's well, not easily doable, but it's doable. But the first thing they've got to do, they've got to get the world rankings sorted out, haven't they? So they know who the top 100 players are.
As it stands, obviously they can't do that, but they've got to figure this out. They've got to find a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, without a cut, it's not sport.
No.
Without jeopardy, it's not sport.
Yeah.
You've got to have a winner and a loser. That's what sport's all about. Whether it's football, cricket, or anything like you got to have winners and losers, and none of this like, oh, it's all about the competition, man. No, it's about winning and losing. That's what sport is.
Yeah.
And so having a cut is imperative.
Well, the winning and the losing is the great element of the competition, because you just have to look at the cricket at the moment with the Ashes. It's been brilliant, but everybody, well, certainly we want England to win, and the Aussies want the Aussies to win. But nobody can argue it's been great viewing, and there's two more left, and hopefully we're just as good. So, I think what you're saying is a pretty simple solution to the whole thing, but it just seems like there's a long way to go before they can get something like this sorted. Whether the right people are in there or not, I don't know. But we're not going down that route. as I said to you before. So that's your view on it. So thanks a lot for coming on. But I'll finish by just mentioning the Seniors Open at Portugal, which hopefully I will be qualifying for, and you're already in it. So
Yep.
you must be, again, going back to the Open Championship and great tournaments, etc. Another great course, Portugal. Never had the Open, but a magnificent golf course. So you're looking forward to going down to Wales to play in that?
Yeah. I had a practice round down there a couple of weeks ago in 20-mile-an-hour winds with rain and classic summer British weather.
Classic Wales, Welsh
Yeah.
summer afternoon.
The golf course, again, I hadn't played there since 1980. Oh, I want to say, I don't know where it would have been about 86 or 87. We had the British Amateur down there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, those opening sort of 4 or 5 holes are just world class. And really, that sets the tone for the day. If you get through those holes unscathed, then you've got a chance of shooting a score.
Yeah.
But yeah, a great golf course. Really looking forward to it. Let's just hope we get. I like a wind.
Yeah.
I just don't want it to be the wind and rain and all the rest of it, because you want the spectators to come down there and have a great time and enjoy. You don't want everyone to get soaking wet. So
no, as you say, it's a great course, and it's a beautiful area of the world on a nice day there on a nice afternoon, and it's just
stunning.
It's a stunning place. It really is. And as you say, hopefully the weather will be good. So, but anyway, mate, thanks a lot for coming on. I'm glad we didn't go down the live route and start talking about too much about that. But it's been intriguing to hear your opinions on the Open and to look back at the Walker Cup and everything. So thanks for coming on, and hopefully I will see you in Wales in about 10 days' time.